Tamanskoye Motor Rifle Division, outskirts of Moscow. Remember Bratishka. Rodina, chest, Slava. Let the name of the Chertovsky Tank Regiment chill the very fires of hell. The Americans had killed 4 of the demons, others had killed 1 each. Now it was time for the Rodina to strike its blow against these arrogant beasts who had dared to declare their dominion over humanity. The demon had appeared an hour or so earlier and was walking across the countryside towards the Kremlin. If the pattern from earlier encounters was holding true, it was making for Russia's capital. Well, it wouldn't get there, not if the Chertovsky Tank Regiment had its way. Colonel Mikhail Shirinov had worked on the presumption that the beast was heading for the city, and set up a neatly shaped ambush. The kill zone was covered by the 125mm guns on his tank's end. Just to make sure, he had his multiple rocket artillery systems dialed in. Verwaniklasnin had his message to deliver. As a herald, that was his infernal duty, and he was going to do it. The problem was, word had started to spread that the humans weren't cowering in fear the way they were supposed to, before it had only taken a single appearance to throw them into panic. Now, there was a whisper they were fighting back, not just fighting back but showing uncanny skill in doing so. That was a troubling concept. Verwaniklasnin felt a sudden itch on his skin. There were 10 or more brilliant green dots on his hide, points where his flesh was beginning to swell. One of his arms moved to cover them. As he did so, the dot vanished from his hide but appeared on the back of his hand, a beam of some sort. He never had a chance to work it out because a massive blow struck his chest and sent him staggering backwards. The first shot had sent the HVDUAPCFSDS bolt screaming into the beast's chest, sending it reeling backwards. An instant later the 9 other T-90S tanks of the 1st Company fired in salvo, their shots striking home as almost a single blow. The Russian tank gunners had been told that the Thais had killed one of these beasts with their pathetic little M41S. The Russian T-90S could do better than that surely. There was an unspoken message, it had better. And it could. The beast was down, battered off its feet by the depleted uranium bolts that had smashed into it. Even as the gunners watched, the beast tried to get back to its feet, but 2nd Company were waiting. A brief interval as their laser rangefinders locked in, then another salvo of shots. These ones struck low, shearing the beast's legs from its body. It rolled to the ground, trying to pull itself upright. What criminality was this? Verwaniklasnin couldn't believe what was taking place. He was a herald, one of those charged with carrying messages to the others. By all the laws and customs, he was granted immunity from attack, for how could wars be fought if neither side could talk? But these humans had opened up on him without warning. It was a hideous crime for which the wrath of the higher powers would be terrible. Verwaniklasnin shook his head. He was crippled, his legs gone, his green blood soaking into the earth. Even as he looked around, another salvo of shells struck him, ripping his arms from his body. He crashed onto his back, helpless and dying. Shirinov looked up at the beast dying on the ground. It had taken 30 hits from 125mm guns to bring it down, and it wasn't dead yet. If these things' resistance to damage was as high as that, these beasts were going to be trouble. Tovarsh Colonel, please ask your men to help me. I need to sit on the beast's chest. It was one of the politicians from Moscow. It didn't take long to help him up. A T-90 pulled alongside the beast and the political was unceremoniously hauled up into place. Somebody handed up a camp stool and he carefully selected a spot overlooking the beast's head, one clear of the bubbling craters where the armor-piercing shots had torn through the beast. Beast, before you should die, I believe you should know who it is you are waging war upon. I will therefore read you some of President Putin's speeches. Listen well and learn of your folly. I can almost feel sorry for the beast. An engineer sergeant placing the demolition charges around the great body spoke quietly, but his team heard and laughed. The word spread amongst the tank crews and the chuckle spread there as well. The politician appeared not to have heard. His droning monotone carried on unaffected. A few minutes later, the preparations were ready. Shirinov looked up at the politician who was starting the 3rd speech of his program. Tovarsh, we are about to blow the beast. Please come down. But I must finish the president's speech to the Iron Workers Union. There was a hideous racking groan from the beast, muted only by its failing strength. Shirinov got a clear mental picture of it begging to be put out of its misery, anything other than to have to listen to another speech. The colonel could see its point. Now, Tovarish, my orders are to destroy this thing, then bring samples back for analysis." The politician reluctantly agreed, and the charges were detonated. Looking around, something puzzled Chernoff. Didn't the Americans say these beasts had acid blood? Because this one doesn't.